You begin here, at the quiet edge of all things, where life stirs gently like a soft breeze brushing against the dawn. Imagine the world when it was young, oceans vast and still, the air filled with promise, the earth wrapped in quiet mystery. Somewhere, deep within this vastness, the very first whispers of life begin to hum, delicate and faint, like a lullaby carried on the wind. These whispers are the earliest hints of a language, a secret conversation written not with words, but with patterns. You might picture them as tiny ripples on a still pond, spreading softly, endlessly, touching everything in their path. This language is the pulse beneath your skin, the rhythm that beats quietly in every corner of your body. You are the tender keeper of this ancient story. Inside you, countless cells breathe and move, each one holding a small piece of this cosmic song. These cells, like tiny lanterns glowing in the dark, carry the whispers forward, a melody passed from mother to child, from one moment to the next, across endless generations. In this melody, there is no rush, only a gentle unfolding. You feel it now, as if a gentle hand is tracing the lines of your own story, slow and sure. The song is written in 4 simple letters, A, T, C, and G, forming the alphabet of your life. Each letter, a note in a timeless lullaby, creates patterns that swirl like watercolors in a dream. This secret code, known as DNA, coils quietly in the depths of your cells like a spiral staircase made of light and shadow. The spiral is more than a shape. It is a symbol of balance and beauty, a dance between order and mystery. You can almost hear the soft creak of each step as your eyes trace the helix winding gently upward. Every twist of this spiral is a breath in the ongoing story of you. It holds instructions that have traveled through the cosmos, carrying the wisdom of stars and the promise of life. The instructions guide the cells as they build and rebuild, repair and renew. Like a gentle artisan, they craft your body's form with quiet patience. As you listen to this whispering story, you begin to sense the incredible intimacy it carries. This code is not distant or cold. It is deeply personal. It is the blueprint for your eyelashes, the shade of your skin, the rhythm of your heartbeat. It sings softly of who you are, unique, yet connected to all living things. And just as the tides respond to the moon's gentle pull, your cells respond to this ancient script, moving with a quiet harmony. They read and write, fold and unfold, like pages turning in a storybook that never truly ends. You feel the softness of this process as a calm presence inside you, and knowing that all is right in this vast unfolding. Sometimes the whispers grow louder, a sudden burst of creation, a new spark in the endless dance. Yet mostly, the song remains a soft hum, a background melody that comforts and guides. It reminds you that life is continuous, a river flowing gently through time, carrying memories and dreams alike. Here, in this moment, you are invited to rest within the embrace of this ancient song. You do not need to rush or understand it all at once. Instead, you can simply listen to the rhythm of your breath, the quiet pulse in your veins, and the gentle murmur of life's beginnings echoing deep inside. As your body relaxes and your mind softens, you become aware of the great journey that awaits. The code inside you is a storyteller, ready to reveal more secrets, the letters, the spiral, the symphony that unfolds with every breath. With each chapter, you move deeper into this wondrous story, wrapped in comfort and curiosity. And so, as you begin to drift, you feel the first threads of a new question weaving through your thoughts. How can 4 simple letters hold the infinite possibilities of life? What stories will they tell as you continue this journey, stepping softly into the alphabet of you? Close your eyes and picture a language unlike any you've known, one written not with words or pictures, but with 4 simple letters. These 4 letters are T, C, and G, are tiny keys unlocking the doors of life. They are the quiet notes in a vast, unfolding symphony that plays within you. Each letter stands for a chemical whisper: adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, names that sound like soft songs, almost like lullabies themselves. But what they truly represent is far more profound, the building blocks of your very existence, arranged in delicate patterns that tell the story of you. Imagine these letters as musical notes, each with a gentle tone, each with a place in a melody. Alone, a single note might seem simple, but together they create an endless variety of songs. This melody is not just a tune, it's the instruction, the blueprint, the poem that shapes your body's every detail. Think of your genetic code as a vast poem in this four-letter alphabet. Some verses instruct your cells to build proteins, tiny machines that carry out the work of life. Other lines guide the rhythm of your heartbeat, the color of your eyes, or even the way your brain folds and dreams. You carry this alphabet inside you, folded softly within each cell like a precious scroll. It's intimate and personal, yet at the same time, it's universal. The same four letters write the stories of trees, butterflies, whales, and you. This shared language weaves a quiet connection between all living things. As you breathe slowly, imagine opening this scroll, unrolling it gently, line by line. Each pairing of letters A with T and C with G fits together like the perfect embrace of old friends. This pairing is the secret to the stability of the code, allowing it to hold its shape through time's gentle passage. The letters pair and fold into a delicate double helix, spiraling like a slow dance between two lovers, forever intertwined. You can almost hear the soft murmur of their conversation, a whispered dialogue that has carried life through billions of years. This alphabet is simple, yes, but from its simplicity springs infinite complexity. Like a painter with only a handful of colors, life uses these four letters to create every shade and shape imaginable. Each combination holds the power to unlock a new possibility, a new expression of life's endless creativity. Inside your body, the letters are copied and read by tiny molecular machines like librarians carefully transcribing a sacred text. They translate this language into proteins, which fold into shapes that carry out tasks with graceful precision, repairing, building, signaling. You might imagine these proteins as actors on a stage, performing scenes scripted by your genetic alphabet. Their performances create the delicate choreography of growth, healing, thought, and emotion. It's a quiet theater playing endlessly inside you, with you as both audience and participant. And yet, this script is not rigid or fixed. It carries room for variation, subtle shifts that make you uniquely you, like a poet's signature flourish or a musician's improvisation. These small changes add personal nuance to the universal song. As you rest here, cradled by this knowledge, you feel the gentle power of the alphabet within you. It is a poem you effortlessly, a melody you hum without sound. It connects you to the earliest whispers of life and to the countless creatures who share this code in their own unique ways. Your genetic alphabet is a reminder that complexity can grow from simplicity, that profound beauty can emerge from the smallest elements. It is a quiet celebration of life's resilience and creativity, folded softly into every cell you carry. And as this thought settles into your mind, you feel the rhythm of the next step in our journey stirring gently how this alphabet arranges itself in a shape both strong and delicate, like a spiral staircase winding infinitely upward, inviting you to climb. Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing at the foot of the most beautiful staircase you have ever seen. This is not a staircase of marble or wood, but something far more precious, far more intimate. This staircase lives inside you, winding its way through every cell of your being like a gentle spiral of light. You are about to discover the most elegant dance in existence, the dance of your DNA. Picture it now, this magnificent double helix, twisting slowly before you like to ribbons caught in a soft breeze, forever entwined, forever reaching upward. Each twist is a step, each turn a whisper of the ancient story that makes you who you are. As you begin to climb this spiral staircase, feel how it moves beneath your feet. It is not rigid like stone, but alive, breathing, swaying with a rhythm that matches your own heartbeat. The rails of this staircase are made of sugar and phosphate, sweet molecules that form the backbone of life itself. They curve and flow, creating the graceful sides of the double helix, holding everything together with invisible hands of chemistry. Between these rails, stretching like gentle bridges, are the steps themselves. But these are not ordinary steps. They are pairs of molecules, dancing partners that have found their perfect match across the spiral. Adenine reaches thymine with the tenderness of old lovers, while guanine embraces cytosine in an eternal waltz. 4 simple letters E, T, G, C, creating an alphabet that writes the story of you. You place your foot on the first step, and suddenly you can feel the connection. This single pairing, this one gentle bridge between the spiraling rails, carries information older than mountains, newer than your latest breath. It holds the secret of how your eyes learned to see color, how your heart knew to beat before you were born, how your mind developed the capacity to wonder about the very molecule you're now exploring. As you climb higher, the staircase turns, and you feel yourself moving through space in a way that defies ordinary geometry. You are ascending, yes, but also spiraling, tracing a path that curves back on itself while always moving forward. This is the genius of the double helix. It stores an incredible amount of information in the smallest possible space, coiling and uncoiling like a cosmic spring. With each step, you notice how the staircase seems to breathe. It is not static, this molecular architecture. It pulses with life, expanding and contracting, unwinding and rewinding in a dance choreographed by the needs of your cells. Sometimes it opens wide, allowing other molecules to read its message, to copy its wisdom, to translate its poetry into the proteins that build your body. Sometimes it wraps tight, protecting its precious information like a scroll sealed with care. You pause on a landing, looking up at the infinite spiral stretching above you, looking down at the countless turns below. In this moment, you realize you are standing inside a library, not of books, but of possibilities. Each step you have climbed, each step that awaits you, represents a choice your DNA makes every moment of your life. Which genes to turn on, which to keep silent, which proteins to build, which pathways to follow. The staircase shimmers around you, and you see that it is not alone. Millions of these spirals exist within you, each one a variation on the same elegant theme. They are not perfect copies. Each spiral tells a slightly different story, carries slightly different information, responds to slightly different signals. This diversity is not a flaw, but a feature, a symphony of variation that makes life possible. You continue climbing, and the staircase begins to reveal its deeper secrets. You see how it repairs itself when damaged, how molecular machines travel along its length like tiny trains, reading the information and carrying it to where it is needed. You witness the miracle of replication as the double helix gently unwinds, each strand serving as a template for a new partner, ensuring that the story continues, that the dance goes on. The beauty of it takes your breath away. This is not random chaos, but exquisite order emerging from simplicity. 4 letters, arranged in sequences of breathtaking complexity, yet following rules as elegant as music. The spiral staircase of DNA is both your inheritance and your gift to the future, a molecular memory that connects you to every living thing that has ever existed. As you reach another turn in the staircase, you feel a deep sense of connection, not just to the molecule itself, but to the vast web of life it represents. The same spiral that guides your heartbeat also guides the growth of trees, the flight of birds, the blooming of flowers. You are part of an ancient conversation, a molecular dialogue that has been going on for billions of years. The staircase begins to glow softly, and you realize that this light comes from within, from the constant, gentle activity of life itself. DNA is not a fixed blueprint, but a dynamic script, constantly being read, interpreted, and performed by the orchestra of your cells. It responds to your experiences, your environment, your thoughts and feelings, writing new verses in the ongoing poem of your existence. You feel yourself becoming lighter as you climb, as if the staircase is lifting you not just physically, but spiritually. This is the sensation of understanding, of connecting with something fundamental and beautiful about the nature of life. You are not separate from this molecular dance. You are the dance itself, made manifest in flesh and blood and consciousness. The steps beneath your feet pulse with a rhythm that seems familiar, and you realize it is the rhythm of time itself, the slow, steady accumulation of moments that shapes evolution, that builds complexity from simplicity, that creates beauty from basic chemistry. Each step is a heartbeat of eternity, each turn a breath of cosmic time. As you near the top of this section of the spiral staircase, you sense that your journey is far from over. The double helix stretches infinitely in both directions, and you understand that you have only begun to explore its mysteries. But already, you feel different, more connected to the fundamental processes that sustain your life, more aware of the elegant order that underlies the apparent chaos of existence. The staircase ahead curves into shadows and light, promising new discoveries, new wonders to explore. And as you prepare to take the next step, you find yourself wondering, if this spiral staircase is the library of life, what stories are written in the spaces between the steps? Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing at the foot of the most beautiful staircase you have ever seen. This is not a staircase of marble or wood, but something far more precious, far more intimate. This staircase lives inside you, winding its way through every cell of your being like a gentle spiral of light. You are about to discover the most elegant dance in existence, the dance of your DNA. Picture it now, this magnificent double helix, twisting slowly before you like ribbons caught in a soft breeze, forever entwined, forever reaching upward. Each twist is a step, each turn a whisper of the ancient story that makes you who you are. As you begin to climb this spiral staircase, feel how it moves beneath your feet. It is not rigid like stone, but alive, breathing, swaying with a rhythm that matches your own heartbeat. The rails of this staircase are made of sugar and phosphate, sweet molecules that form the backbone of life itself. They curve and flow, creating the graceful sides of the double helix, holding everything together with invisible hands of chemistry. Between these rails, stretching like gentle bridges, are the steps themselves. But these are not ordinary steps. They are pairs of molecules, dancing partners that have found their perfect match across the spiral. Adenine reaches for thymine with the tenderness of old lovers, while guanine embraces cytosine in an eternal waltz. 4 simple letters E, T, G, C, creating an alphabet that writes the story of you. You place your foot on the first step, and suddenly you can feel the connection. This single pairing, this one gentle bridge between the spiraling rails, carries information older than mountains, newer than your latest breath. It holds the secret of how your eyes learned to see color, how your heart knew to beat before you were born, how your mind developed the capacity to wonder about the very molecule we're now exploring. As you climb higher, the staircase turns, and you feel yourself moving through space in a way that defies ordinary geometry. You're ascending, yes, but also spiraling, tracing a path that curves back on itself while always moving forward. This is the genius of the double helix. It stores an incredible amount of information in the smallest possible space, coiling and uncoiling like a cosmic spring. With each step, you notice how the staircase seems to breathe. It is not static, this molecular architecture. It pulses with life, expanding and contracting, unwinding and rewinding in a dance choreographed by the needs of your cells. Sometimes it opens wide, allowing other molecules to read its message, to copy its wisdom, to translate its poetry into the proteins that build your body. Sometimes it wraps tight, protecting its precious information like a scroll sealed with care. You pause on a landing, looking up at the infinite spiral stretching above you, looking down at the countless turns below. In this moment, you realize you are standing inside a library, not of books, but of possibilities. Each step you have climbed, each step that awaits you, represents a choice your DNA makes every moment of your life. Which genes to turn on, which to keep silent, which proteins to build, which pathways to follow. The staircase shimmers around you, and you see that it is not alone. Millions of these spirals exist within you, each one a variation on the same elegant theme. They are not perfect copies. Each spiral tells a slightly different story, carries slightly different information, responds to slightly different signals. This diversity is not a flaw, but a feature, a symphony of variation that makes life possible. You continue climbing, and the staircase begins to reveal its deeper secrets. You see how it repairs itself when damaged, how molecular machines travel along its length like tiny trains, reading the information and carrying it to where it is needed. You witness the miracle of replication as the double helix gently unwinds, each strand serving as a template for a new partner, ensuring that the story continues, that the dance goes on. The beauty of it takes your breath away. This is not random chaos, but exquisite order emerging from simplicity. 4 letters, arranged in sequences of breathtaking complexity, yet following rules as elegant as music. The spiral staircase of DNA is both your inheritance and your gift to the future, a molecular memory that connects you to every living thing that has ever existed. As you reach another turn in the staircase, you feel a deep sense of connection, not just to the molecule itself, but to the vast web of life it represents. The same spiral that guides your heartbeat also guides the growth of trees, the flight of birds, the blooming of flowers. You are part of an ancient conversation, a molecular dialogue that has been going on for billions of years. The staircase begins to glow softly, and you realize that this light comes from within, from the constant, gentle activity of life itself. DNA is not a fixed blueprint, but a dynamic script, constantly being read, interpreted, and performed by the orchestra of your cells. It responds to your experiences, your environment, your thoughts and feelings, writing new verses in the ongoing poem of your existence. You feel yourself becoming lighter as you climb, as if the staircase is lifting you not just physically, but spiritually. This is the sensation of understanding, of connecting with something fundamental and beautiful about the nature of life. You are not separate from this molecular dance. You are the dance itself, made manifest in flesh and blood and consciousness. The steps beneath your feet pulse, with a rhythm that seems familiar, and you realize it is the rhythm of time itself, the slow, steady accumulation of moments that shapes evolution, that builds complexity from simplicity, that creates beauty from basic chemistry. Each step is a heartbeat of eternity, each turn a breath of cosmic time. As you near the top of this section of the spiral staircase, you sense that your journey is far from over. The double helix stretches infinitely in both directions, and you understand that you have only begun to explore its mysteries, but already you feel different, more connected to the fundamental processes that sustain your life, more aware of the elegant order that underlies the apparent chaos of existence. The staircase ahead curves into shadows and light, promising new discoveries, new wonders to explore. And as you prepare to take the next step, you find yourself wondering, if this spiral staircase is the library of life, what stories are written in the spaces between the steps? You descend from the spiral staircase and find yourself in a vast concert hall, one that exists within the very heart of your cells. The walls seem to pulse with a gentle luminescence, and the air itself hums with an energy that feels both ancient and immediate. You are about to witness something extraordinary, the symphony of your genes coming alive. As you settle into your seat, you notice that this is no ordinary orchestra. Instead of musicians with instruments, you see thousands upon thousands of genes arranged in sections throughout the cellular amphitheater. Some glow softly, active and ready to play their part. Others rest in quiet darkness, waiting for their moment to contribute to the grand composition of your being. This is gene expression, the magnificent process by which your genetic code transforms from written music into the living symphony of you. The conductor's podium stands empty, and you realize with wonder that there is no single conductor here. Instead, the symphony conducts itself through an intricate network of signals and responses, each gene listening carefully to its neighbors, to the needs of your body, to the whispers of your environment. This is a democracy of molecules, a collaborative creation where every participant has a voice. You watch as a section of genes begins to stir. These are the genes responsible for your morning awakening, sensing the subtle changes in light and hormones that signal the start of a new day. They begin their gentle melody, a rising crescendo that will soon cascade through your entire body, adjusting your metabolism, sharpening your focus, preparing you for the hours ahead. Their music is not loud or jarring, but soft and insistent, like dawn breaking slowly over a peaceful landscape. As these morning genes reach their peak expression, you notice how their music influences other sections of the genetic orchestra. Genes involved in energy production begin to harmonize, their proteins joining the melody to ensure your cells have the fuel they need. Genes that control your circadian rhythms add their own subtle bass line, keeping time with the ancient rhythm that connects you to the rotation of the earth itself. The beauty of this symphony, not just in what is being played, but in what remains silent. Thousands of genes that were active during your sleep now quiet their voices, their work complete for this phase of your daily cycle. This is the genius of gene regulation, knowing not just when to sing, but when to rest, when to yield the stage to other performers in the endless composition of life. You lean forward, captivated by the complexity unfolding before you. A new section begins to play, the genes responsible for responding to the meal this morning. They create a gentle, nourishing melody that guides your digestive system, tells your liver how to process nutrients, instructs your pancreas to release just the right amount of insulin. This is music made from the simple act of nourishment, transformed into the complex biochemistry that sustains your existence. The symphony swells as stress response genes add their voice to the composition. But this is not discordant music. It is adaptive, protective, preparing your body to meet whatever challenges the day might bring. These genes sing of resilience, of your body's remarkable ability to bend without breaking, to respond to pressure with strength rather than fragility. You notice how memories influence the music. Genes involved in learning and memory create delicate harmonies that shift and change based on your experiences, your thoughts, your emotions. The symphony literally rewrites itself in real time, incorporating new themes based on what you encounter, what you feel, what you discover about yourself and the world around you. You are both the audience and the composer, listening to the music while simultaneously creating it through the simple act of living. The tempo of the symphony fluctuates, like a living thing. During periods of growth or healing, certain sections play with increased intensity. Genes responsible for cell division, tissue repair, and protein synthesis create urgent, but not frantic melodies, working with focused determination to build and rebuild your body at the molecular level. During times of rest, the music becomes softer, more contemplative, as maintenance genes perform their quiet work of cleaning, organizing, preparing for the next cycle of activity. What strikes you most profoundly is how personal this symphony is. While every human shares the same basic genetic instruments, the way they are played, which genes are active when, how strongly they express themselves, how they respond to the unique circumstances of your life, creates a musical signature that belongs to you alone. Your symphony has never been played before, and it will never be played again in exactly the same way. You watch as immune system genes add their protective harmonies to the ongoing composition. They play vigilant melodies, constantly sampling the molecular environment, ready to sound an alarm or mount a defense if needed. But tonight, in this moment of rest and reflection, their music is peaceful, confident, singing of a body in balance, a system functioning as it should. The symphony includes genes that respond to your emotions, creating feedback loops between your thoughts and your physical being, genes that regulate neurotransmitter production adjust their expression based on your mood, while hormonal genes respond to your stress levels, your sense of connection to others, your feelings of purpose and meaning. The music of your genes is influenced by the music of your life, creating an integration so complete that the boundary between mind and body dissolves into harmony. As the evening progresses, you witness the gentle transition as different genetic sections take center stage. Genes involved in repair and regeneration begin their nocturnal performances, while day-active genes gradually fade to pianissimo. This is the circadian symphony, the daily rhythm that has guided life on Earth for billions of years, now playing its ancient song through the uniquely modern instrument of your genetic code. The orchestra responds to your presence in the concert hall of your cells. Genes involved in self-awareness and consciousness contribute their mysterious melodies to the overall composition, creating music that somehow gives rise to the very experience of listening to it. You are the symphony becoming aware of itself, the genetic code contemplating its own expression through the miracle of consciousness. You feel a deep sense of gratitude washing over you as you listen to this cellular music. Every note represents countless molecular interactions, billions of years of evolutionary refinement, the accumulated wisdom of life itself expressed through the unique vessel of your existence. You are not separate from this symphony. You are the symphony, experiencing itself through the gift of awareness. The music begins to shift toward its nighttime themes, and you sense the approach of sleep in the changing harmonies. Genes that promote rest and restoration prepare to take the stage, while others that drove your daytime activities gradually fade into restful silence. The symphony never truly stops, but it changes its character, becoming the lullaby that will guide you into dreams. As you prepare to leave this cellular concert hall, you find yourself wondering about the unseen hands that shape this music, the molecular guardians and editors who ensure that every note is played with precision and care. You step quietly from the concert hall into the gentle shadows that surround your genetic library, and immediately you sense their presence, the guardians and editors who work tirelessly in the spaces between the music, ensuring that every note of your cellular symphony rings true. They move with the quiet grace of skilled librarians, their work so seamless that you barely notice them, yet without their constant care, the beautiful music of your genes would dissolve into chaos. The first guardian you encounter moves like a gentle breeze through the molecular corridors. This is a DNA repair enzyme, and watching it work is like witnessing a master craftsman at their bench. It glides along the double helix with infinite patience, checking each step of your spiral staircase, feeling for wobbles, sensing mismatched pairs, detecting the tiny errors that accumulate simply from the act of being alive. When it finds damage, perhaps a letter changed by radiation or a connection weakened by time, it pauses with the focus of a surgeon, carefully cutting away the error and guiding the rebuilding process. With molecular precision, you follow this guardian deeper into the cellular library, where you discover an entire community of protectors, each with their own specialized role in maintaining the integrity of your genetic story. Some guards protect against oxidation, those tiny sparks of cellular fire that can burn through DNA like acid through paper. Others watch for the longer tears and breaks that can occur when cells divide, patiently stitching the genetic fabric back together with threads of new nucleotides, ensuring that each daughter cell receives a complete and accurate copy of your genetic inheritance. In a quiet alcove, you witness one of the most remarkable editors at work. This is an epigenetic modifier, and unlike the guardians who fix what is broken, this molecular artist creates entirely new layers of meaning without changing a single letter of your genetic code. You watch in fascination as it places tiny chemical marks on your DNA, like a scholar adding notes in the margins of a beloved book. These marks don't change the words themselves, but they change how the words are read, which genes are allowed to speak, and which must remain silent. The editor works with the delicacy of a watercolor painter, adding methyl groups here, acetyl groups there, creating patterns of modification that respond to your experiences, your environment, your emotions, This is how your genes remember that you learned to ride a bicycle this summer, how they adjust to the stress of a difficult relationship, how they adapt to the food you eat, and the places you live. The editor is writing your life story not in the permanent ink of genetic sequence, but in the reversible pencil marks of epigenetic modification. You drift deeper into this realm of molecular caregivers and discover the quality control inspectors, proteins that check the work of gene expression with the thoroughness of master editors. Reviewing a manuscript, they examine each newly made RNA molecule, looking for errors in transcription, splice sites that have been read incorrectly, messages that might confuse rather than inform. When they find mistakes, they mark them for destruction with the same gentle efficiency that a librarian might remove damaged books from circulation. The atmosphere here is one of profound care, of systems within systems all working together to protect and preserve the delicate complexity of your genetic expression. You watch its chaperone proteins assist newly made proteins in folding correctly, like origami masters, helping complex molecules find their perfect three-dimensional shape. Without these molecular midwives, proteins would tangle into useless knots, unable to perform their essential functions in the symphony of your cells. In the deepest part of this protective realm, you encounter the most vigilant guardians of all, the proteins that watch for signs of cellular distress, ready to make the ultimate sacrifice if necessary to protect the integrity of your tissues. These are the guardians of programmed cell death, and though their work might seem harsh, you sense the profound wisdom in their presence. They ensure that damaged cells cannot become dangerous, but infected cells cannot spread their burden to their neighbors, that the health of the whole are always preserved. You observe how these guardians communicate with each other through an intricate network of molecular signals, like watchmen calling to each other across the ramparts of a medieval city. When one guardian detects a problem, the message spreads quickly through the cellular community, mobilizing resources, coordinating responses, ensuring that help arrives wherever it is needed most. This is your immune system at the molecular level, a society of protectors working in constant harmony to maintain the peace and order of your inner world. The editors reveal themselves to be equally collaborative, working together to fine-tune the expression of your genes in response to the changing needs of your body and mind. You witness how they respond to the rhythm of your sleep and waking, adjusting the activity of circadian genes to keep you synchronized with the natural world. You see how they modify gene expression in response to exercise, to learning, to the social connections that nourish your spirit, creating a dynamic conversation between your experiences and your genetic potential. As you spend time among these molecular caretakers, you begin to understand that you are never alone, never unprotected. Every moment of your existence is supported by legions of guardians and editors working with quiet dedication to maintain the beautiful complexity of your being. They ask nothing in return except the simple gift of your existence, the opportunity to perform their ancient work of preservation and adaptation that has been passed down through billions of years of evolution. The presence of these protectors fills you with a deep sense of security and wonder. You are held in the embrace of systems so sophisticated, so responsive, so devoted to your well-being that no conscious mind could ever manage their complexity. Yet they work effortlessly, guided by the accumulated wisdom of life itself, responding to your needs before you are even aware you have them. You feel yourself relaxing more deeply as you contemplate this molecular safety net that surrounds you always. The guardians and editors continue their work as you rest, tending to the small repairs and adjustments that accumulate during the day, preparing your cells for the regenerative work of sleep, ensuring that you awake refreshed and renewed. In their capable hands, you are free to let go of conscious control, to trust in the profound intelligence that guides every aspect of your existence. As you prepare to leave this realm of protectors, you sense that your journey into the molecular world has revealed something precious, the recognition that you are part of something much larger than yourself, held and supported by the intricate web of life that connects all living things. The mirror begins to fade, but its gift remains with you: the deep knowledge that you are never alone, never disconnected from the vast family of life that surrounds and sustains you. You are held in the embrace of ancestry, supported by the accumulated wisdom of countless generations, and entrusted with the sacred responsibility of carrying life's story forward into an unknown but hopeful future. As you step away from the protective embrace of the guardians and editors, you enter a different kind of space, one where change itself becomes the dance partner. Here, in the quiet moments between certainty and possibility, you encounter the gentle phenomenon of mutation, the soft whisper of variation that has been choreographing the dance of life for billions of years. You find yourself in what feels like a dance studio, its walls made of shimmering probability rather than solid matter. The air itself seems to pulse with potential, and you realize that you are witnessing one of nature's most misunderstood processes. Mutation is not the violent disruption you might have imagined, but rather a subtle shift in the rhythm, a gentle improvisation in the otherwise careful choreography of genetic expression. A single nucleotide prepares to change its partner in the dance. You watch as an adenine, which has been paired with thymine for countless cellular generations, suddenly finds itself drawn to a different rhythm. Perhaps it is the gentle nudge of cosmic radiation, or the natural chemistry of cellular metabolism, or simply the quantum uncertainty that governs all molecular interactions. The change happens with the grace of a dancer switching partners mid-waltz, so smoothly that the music never stops. You observe how this single change ripples through the molecular dance floor. Most of the time, the choreography is so robust that one different step barely affects the overall performance. The genetic code has a built-in redundancy, a poetic repetition that allows for variation without losing meaning. Many mutations are like changing a single word in a vast novel. The story continues, essentially unchanged, but carrying within it a new possibility, a fresh perspective on an ancient tale. But sometimes, you witness a mutation that creates something entirely new. A protein folds differently, creating a new shape that combines a different molecular partners. An enzyme becomes slightly more efficient, or develops the ability to work with a substrate it never encountered before. These are the moments when mutation reveals its true nature, not as a destroyer of order, but as life's greatest innovator, the gentle force that allows evolution to explore new territories of possibility. You move through this dance studio of change and notice how different types of mutations create different rhythms in the molecular ballet. Point mutations are like subtle tempo changes, a single beat altered, creating a new accent in the genetic music. Insertions and deletions are more dramatic, like adding or removing entire measures from a symphony, requiring the cellular orchestra to adapt its timing and harmonies. The dance becomes more complex as you observe chromosomal rearrangements, where entire sections of genetic material change partners, creating new combinations that have never existed before. These are the grand pas de deux of mutation, sweeping movements that can reshape the entire choreography of an organism's development. You watch in fascination as segments of DNA embrace new neighbors, creating novel gene combinations that might give rise to entirely new traits, new capabilities, new ways of being alive. What strikes you most profoundly is the patience of this dance. Mutations occur constantly, but their effects unfold across generations, across geological timescales. You are witnessing both the immediacy of molecular change and the vast patience of evolutionary time. Each mutation is a vote cast in the long democracy of natural selection, a suggestion for how life might adapt to new circumstances, new challenges, new opportunities. You notice how the cellular environment responds to these changes with remarkable wisdom. Most mutations that would be harmful quickly recognized and corrected by the guardian systems you encountered earlier. But beneficial mutations, those rare and precious variations that improve an organism's ability to thrive, are preserved and passed on, becoming part of the ongoing conversation between life and its environment. The dance floor begins to shift around you, and you realize you are witnessing mutation across different scales of time and space. You see how viral mutations allow pathogens to adapt to new hosts, how bacterial mutations enable resistance to antibiotics, how plant mutations create new varieties that can survive in harsh climates. These are not abstract processes, but the very mechanism by which life learns, adapts, and evolves. You find yourself in the presence of somatic mutations changes that occur in the cells of your own body during your lifetime. These are personal variations, unique to your individual journey through time. Some contribute to aging, others to the development of cancer, but many are simply neutral variations, the quiet genetic drift that makes each of your cells slightly different from its neighbors. You are not a single genetic entity, but a colony of related, but distinct cellular individuals, each carrying its own small variations on your genetic theme. The dance reveals its deeper poetry as you observe how mutations interact with the epigenetic modifications you witnessed earlier. Changes in DNA sequence can alter the binding sites for regulatory proteins, creating new patterns of gene expression that ripple through development and behavior. This is how mutation and regulation dance together, creating the complex interplay between genetic potential and environmental response that defines every living thing. You begin to understand that you are not just witnessing mutation, but participating in it. Every breath you take, every photon of sunlight that touches your skin, every chemical reaction in your cells creates the potential for change. You are part of the dance, your life itself contributing to the ongoing improvisation of genetic variation that will shape the future of life on Earth. The dance studio fills with a gentle light, and you see how mutations connect you to every other living thing. The variations that make you unique also link you to the vast family tree of life, each branch representing a successful experiment in genetic innovation. You carry within your cells the accumulated wisdom of countless mutations, the preserved memories of every adaptation that allowed your ancestors to survive and thrive. As you prepare to leave this space of gentle change, you feel a new appreciation for the role of variation in your own life. Just as genetic mutations provide the raw material for evolution, the small changes and adaptations in your daily experience provide the raw material for personal growth and development. You are both stable and changing, both predictable and surprising, both ancient and utterly new. The dance of mutation continues around you, its rhythm as constant as your heartbeat, as natural as the turning of the seasons. You understand now that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace as the very essence of life itself. In the gentle choreography of mutation, you glimpse the creative force that has shaped all living things, including the miraculous complexity of your own existence. The dance floor begins to fade, and you find yourself approaching what looks like a vast library, its shelves stretching into infinity, filled with the accumulated wisdom of life itself. You step through the doorway into the most magnificent library you have ever imagined. The walls rise impossibly high, lined with shelves that stretch beyond sight, each one filled with volumes written in the four-letter alphabet of life. This is your cellular library, and as you walk softly through its hushed corridors, you begin to understand that every cell in your body contains this same vast collection, 23,000 genes, each one a book waiting to be read, interpreted, and understood. The atmosphere here is one of profound quiet, broken only by the gentle rustling of pages being turned by invisible hands. You realize that this library is never closed, never quiet. Every moment of your existence, librarians move through these halls, selecting the right books for the right occasions, copying passages that need to be shared, translating the ancient language of DNA into the working vocabulary of proteins that build and maintain your body. You approach the first shelf and see that the books are arranged not alphabetically, but by function, by need, by the rhythm of life itself. Here are the volumes that manage your metabolism, their pages filled with instructions for breaking down sugars, building fats, managing the flow of energy through your cells. These books are consulted constantly, their wisdom drawn upon with every breath you take, every meal you digest, every step you climb. A librarian approaches this one as an RNA polymerase, the master reader of your genetic library. You watch in fascination as it selects a book from the shelf, opens it carefully to the right page, and begins the delicate process of transcription. This is how your genes are read, not all at once, but page by page, chapter by chapter, with the same reverence a scholar might show to an ancient manuscript. The polymerase moves along the DNA text with remarkable precision, reading each letter and creating a complementary copy in RNA. This is not mere copying but translation, the conversion of genetic information into a form that can be carried throughout your cell, shared with the protein-making machinery, interpreted and acted upon. You witness the birth of messenger RNA, watching as it emerges from the reading process like a scroll carrying vital information from the library's archives to the workshops where proteins are made. You follow this molecular messenger as it travels through the cellular corridors, and you discover that the library is not just a place of storage, but a living system of communication. The RNA carries more than just genetic information, it carries context, timing, regulation. Along its length are signals that tell the protein-making machinery when to start reading, when to pause, when to stop, how fast to work, how many copies to make. In a quiet alcove, you encounter the editors at work again, but now in their role as literary critics. These are the splicing enzymes, and they are performing one of the most remarkable editorial processes in biology. They take the raw transcript from the gene and carefully remove the sections that don't belong in the final message, splicing together the remaining pieces to create a clean, readable instruction manual for protein synthesis. You watch in amazement as they make editorial decisions that would challenge the most sophisticated human editors. They choose which sections to include, which to exclude, sometimes creating multiple versions of the same message for different purposes. This is how a single gene can give rise to multiple proteins, how your cellular library can contain far more information than its apparent size would suggest. The messenger RNA continues its journey, and you follow it to the ribosomes, the reading machines of your cells. Here, in structures that look like molecular reading desks, the RNA is translated from the language of nucleotides into the language of amino acids. You observe the ribosome as it moves along the RNA message, reading each three-letter word and selecting the appropriate amino acid to add to the growing protein chain. This is perhaps the most beautiful reading process you have ever witnessed. The ribosome doesn't just decode the message mechanically, it interprets it, ensuring that each amino acid is placed in exactly the right position, that the protein folds correctly, that the final product will be able to perform its intended function. This is reading as creation, the transformation of information into living, functional reality. You notice that the library is not just about individual books, but about the relationships between them. Genes regulate other genes, creating cascades of activation and inhibition that flow through the cellular library, conversations between different sections. A gene involved in development might activate dozens of other genes, which in turn influence hundreds more, creating a symphony of genetic expression that unfolds with exquisite timing and precision. The library reveals its temporal nature as you observe how different books are consulted at different times. During your sleep, the librarians pull different volumes from the shelves, books about repair and maintenance, about memory consolidation, about growth and regeneration. During your waking hours, they consult different collections, volumes about energy metabolism, about sensory processing, about the complex biochemistry of consciousness and thought. You discover that your cellular library is not just a repository of information, but a dynamic system that responds to your experiences. The books themselves don't change, but the patterns of reading do. Stress, exercise, learning, love, fear, all of these experiences influence which volumes are consulted, how often they are read, how their messages are interpreted and acted. In the reference section, you find the maintenance manual's genes that encode the very machinery of reading and copying. These are the books that describe how to make RNA polymerases, how to build ribosomes, how to maintain the library itself. This is recursive information, knowledge about knowledge, the cellular equivalent of a library that contains books. About how to run a library. You pause in the rare book section, where you find the most ancient volumes in your collection. These are the genes that encode the fundamental processes of life, the machinery of energy production, the basic mechanisms of cell division, the core systems that have been preserved across billions of years of evolution. These books are so important that they are copied with extraordinary care. Their wisdom so essential that life cannot exist without them. The library begins to take on a different quality as you spend time within it, and you realize that you are not just observing but participating in its function. Your thoughts, your emotions, your physical state all influence which books are being read, which stories are being told through the medium of your cells. You are both the reader and the read, the library and the librarian, the information and the consciousness that contemplates it. As you prepare to leave this inner sanctuary of genetic wisdom, you feel a profound sense of connection to the vast accumulation of knowledge that sustains your existence. You carry within yourself not just your own story, but the collected wisdom of all life, the accumulated learning of every organism that has ever lived, all preserved in the elegant molecular library of your cells. The library fades gently around you, and you sense that your journey is leading you towards something even more profound, a mirror that will show you not just who you are, but who you have always been, connected across time to every ancestor who contributed to the magnificent collection of genetic wisdom you now carry within yourself. You emerge from the library into a circular chamber, lit by a soft, golden glow that seems to emanate from within the walls themselves. At the center of this sacred space stands a mirror unlike any you have ever seen. Its surface shimmers with depth, not reflecting light, but time itself. And as you approach, you realize that this is the mirror of ancestry, a looking glass that shows not your face, but the faces of all those who came before you, whose genetic gifts have combined to create the miracle of your existence. You step closer, and the mirror begins to reveal its secrets. At first, you see yourself as you are now, but as you gaze deeper, the reflection begins to shift and flow like water disturbed by a gentle breeze. Your features blur and reshape, and suddenly you are looking at your parents, their faces overlapping, with yours in a double exposure of genetic inheritance. You can see your mother's eyes in your own, your father's smile echoing in the curve of your lips. The mirror deepens further, and your grandparents emerge from the genetic mists of time. Here is your grandmother's stubborn chin, passed down through generations of strong-willed women. There is your grandfather's broad hands, the same hands that have shaped clay and written letters and held babies across decades of family history. You feel their presence, not as distant memories, but as living parts of yourself, their genes active and expressed in the very cells that make up who you are. The reflection continues to expand backward through time, and you witness the remarkable truth of genetic inheritance. You are not just yourself, but a living mosaic of everyone who came before you. Each ancestor contributed something to your genome, a gene for a height from a great-grandmother, a variant for eye color from a distant uncle, regulatory sequences that influence your personality from ancestors whose names have been forgotten, but whose essence lives on in your DNA. As the mirror reveals ancestors from centuries past, you begin to understand the profound mathematics of inheritance. Each generation back doubles the number of people who contributed to your genetic makeup. To parents, for grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents. By the time you look back just 10 generations, over 1,000 ancestors have played a role in shaping your genetic story, each one leaving their mark in the intricate weave of your chromosomes. The mirror shows you how these ancestral gifts have been shuffled and reshuffled across generations through the elegant process of genetic recombination. During the formation of each egg and sperm cell, chromosomes from your ancestors engaged in an ancient dance of exchange, trading segments of DNA to create new combinations that had never existed before. You witness this molecular square dance as it has played out across countless generations, each round of recombination creating fresh possibilities, new patterns in the genetic tapestry of your family line. You see how some genetic gifts have traveled through your lineage like treasured heirlooms, passed down relatively unchanged from parent to child across many generations. These are the conserved sequences, the essential genes that are so important to life that natural selection has preserved them with extraordinary care. Looking at these ancient genetic treasures, you realize that you share some DNA sequences, not just with your human ancestors, but with all mammals, all vertebrates, all living things. The mirror reveals the stories written in the variation itself. Here is a gene variant that helped an ancestor survive a plague centuries ago. Its protective effects still encoded in your immune system. There is a stretch of DNA that originated in a population that lived near the sea, carrying with it the genetic memory of a diet rich in fish and seaweed. Each variant tells a story of adaptation, of ancestors who faced challenges and found ways to thrive, passing their solutions forward through the generations to reach you. As you gaze deeper into the ancestral mirror, the human faces begin to fade, replaced by the shadowy forms of even more ancient ancestors. You glimpse the early humans who first walked upright across the African savanna, their genes for bipedalism and enhanced brain development still active in your cells. You see the mammalian ancestors who developed warm blood and complex social behaviors, the vertebrate ancestors who first grew backbones and developed complex nervous systems. The mirror continues its journey backward through evolutionary time, and you witness the profound truth of common ancestry. The genes that control your basic cellular metabolism nearly identical to those found in yeast. The sequences that guide your early development are recognizably similar to those that shape a fruit fly. The fundamental mechanisms of DNA replication and protein synthesis that operate in your cells are essentially the same as those found in bacteria that have been living on Earth for billions of years. You feel a wave of connection wash over you as you realize that you are not separate from the tree of life, but an integral part of it. Every living thing you encounter, every bird that sings outside your window, every flower that blooms in your garden, every microbe that lives in your gut is your relative, sharing genetic heritage that stretches back to the very origin of life on Earth. The mirror shows you this vast family tree, and you see your place in it not as an end point, but as a continuation, a new chapter in the ongoing story of life. The reflection begins to shift forward through time, and you understand that you are not just the inheritor of ancestral genes, but their custodian. The genetic gifts you have received from countless generations are not yours alone, but are held in trust for future generations. Every choice you make, every environmental experience you have, every relationship you form has the potential to influence which of your genes are active, how they are expressed, what epigenetic marks you might pass on to your children. You see how your own life experiences are writing new chapters in the ancestral story. The exercise you do today might activate genes that will help your descendants be healthier. The stress you manage well might create epigenetic changes that improve your children's resilience. The love you give and receive might influence the expression of genes involved in social bonding and emotional regulation, creating ripples that will flow forward through generations yet to come. The mirror shows you that ancestry is not just about the past, but about responsibility to the future. You are a bridge between the genetic wisdom of your ancestors and the potential of your descendants. The DNA is not static history, but dynamic possibility, continuously influenced by your choices, your environment, your relationships, in your very consciousness of your place in the great chain of being. As you step back from the mirror of ancestry, you feel transformed by what you have seen. You are no longer just an individual, but a living expression of the entire history of life on Earth. You carry within your cells the memories of countless adventures, adaptations, and triumphs. You are connected to every living thing through the shared language of DNA, part of a conversation that has been going on for billions of years and will continue long after you are gone. The mirror begins to fade, but its gift remains with you, the deep knowledge that you are never alone, never disconnected from the vast family of life that surrounds and sustains you. You are held in the embrace of ancestry, supported by the accumulated wisdom of countless generations, and entrusted with the sacred responsibility of carrying life's story forward into an unknown but hopeful future. Your body is home to an elegant spiral, twisting and turning with timeless grace. The DNA helix, like a slow dancing staircase, invites you to trace its steps. Each twist tells a story of stability and change, of balance and mystery, softly unfolding in a rhythm as steady as your heartbeat. As the mirror of ancestry fades into gentle twilight, you find yourself in a space that feels both familiar and strange, a quiet room where the boundaries between the digital and the biological begin to blur. Soft streams of light move through the air like data flowing through circuits, and you begin to contemplate one of the most profound questions of your existence. Are you living software, a program written in the four-letter code of DNA, executing the instructions of your genetic inheritance? You settle into this contemplative space and notice how the question itself shifts and flows like water. The comparison between your genetic code and computer software is both illuminating and incomplete, revealing truths while hiding others. You are indeed information made manifest, a biological program running on the hardware of your cells, but you are so much more complex, so much more fluid than any software ever created by human hands. The genetic code streams around you in visible form, and you observe how it differs from the rigid instructions of computer programs. Where software follows precise if-then logic, your genetic code operates more like jazz improvisation, following basic themes and structures, while allowing for endless variation, adaptation, and creative expression. Your DNA doesn't dictate your destiny so much as it provides the vocabulary for writing your life story, offering possibilities rather than mandating outcomes. You watch as your genes interact with your environment in real time, their expression shifting like a living, musical score responding to the conductor of experience. The same genetic sequence that might predispose you to anxiety in one environment could contribute to heightened creativity in another. The genes that influence your metabolism don't simply determine how you process food, they respond dynamically to what you eat, when you eat, how you move, how you sleep, creating a continuous dialogue between your inner code and your outer world. This realization brings a sense of profound freedom. You are not imprisoned by your genetic programming, but liberated by its flexibility. Your DNA is not a rigid blueprint, but a dynamic toolkit, providing the raw materials for adaptation, growth, and self-directed change. Every choice you make, every experience you embrace, every thought you think has the potential to influence which aspects of your genetic potential are expressed and which remain dormant. You observe the layers of software running simultaneously within your biological system. At the deepest level are the ancient programs, the genetic instructions for basic cellular processes that have been refined over billions of years of evolution. These are like the operating system of life, so fundamental and well-tested that they run continuously in the background, managing the essential functions that keep you alive without requiring your conscious attention. Above this foundation layer runs the software of development, the genetic programs that guided your transformation from a single cell into the complex organism you are today. These programs are remarkable for their ability to create order from apparent chaos, to guide the precise folding and differentiation that turns simple genetic information into the intricate architecture of your body and brain. At the surface level runs the most flexible software of all the programs that govern your daily responses to the world around you. These genetic subroutines are constantly being updated, modified, and fine-tuned based on your experiences. Your brain's neural networks physically rewire themselves based on what you learn, creating new patterns of connection that didn't exist in your original genetic code but emerged from the interaction between your DNA and your environment. You begin to understand that the most remarkable feature of your biological software is its capacity for self-modification. Unlike computer programs that can only be changed by external programmers, your genetic code is constantly rewriting itself through epigenetic modifications, through the formation of new neural pathways, through the continuous process of cellular renewal and adaptation. You are both the program and the programmer, the code and the coder, continuously updating yourself in response to the challenges and opportunities of existence. The software metaphor reveals something profound about the nature of free will within biological determinism. Your genes provide the framework within which choice operates, but they don't eliminate choice itself. Instead, they create a space of possibilities within which your consciousness can explore, experiment, and express itself. You are neither completely free nor completely determined, but something more interesting, a conscious being operating within the creative constraints of your biological inheritance. You contemplate how your genetic software interfaces with the software of culture, society, and relationship. Your DNA provides the capacity for language, but not the specific language you speak. It gives you the ability to form social bonds, but not the particular relationships you choose to cultivate. It influences your temperament and personality, but leaves room for the development of character, wisdom, and individual expression. The streams of genetic information around you begin to pulse with a rhythm that matches your breathing, and you realize that your biological software is not separate from your consciousness, but intimately connected to it. Your thoughts influence your gene expression, your emotions affect your immune system, your beliefs and attitudes create physical changes in your brain structure. The boundary between mind and body, between software and hardware, between program and programmer, dissolves into a unified field of possibility. You observe how your genetic software includes error correction routines, backup systems, and redundant pathways that ensure your continued functioning even when individual components fail. This is software engineering of the highest order, created not by design, but by the patient testing and refinement of natural selection over billions of years. Your biological program is robust, adaptive, and self-healing in ways that human-created software can only aspire to achieve. As you rest in this contemplation of your genetic software, you feel a deep appreciation for the elegant complexity of your biological inheritance. You are running on code that has been tested and refined across deep time, debugged by evolution, optimized for survival and flourishing in an uncertain world. Yet this code leaves room for mystery, for emergence, for the unpredictable creativity that consciousness brings to the execution of genetic programs. The question of whether you are living software finds its answer not in a simple yes or no, but in the recognition that you are something unprecedented biological software that has evolved the capacity to contemplate its own code, to influence its own programming, to participate consciously in its own ongoing development. You are both the dream and the dreamer, the program and the process of programming, unfolding with each breath into new possibilities. The contemplative space around you begins to deepen into night, and you sense that your journey through the molecular world is approaching its peaceful conclusion. The genetic code continues its quiet humming in the background of your awareness, a lullaby that has been playing since the beginning of life, inviting you to rest in the profound mystery of conscious existence within the elegant constraints of biological possibility. Your eyelids grow heavy as you prepare to surrender to the endless night of sleep, knowing that your genetic software will continue its work while you rest, maintaining, repairing, and preparing for tomorrow's unfolding of the magnificent program that is your life. The contemplative space around you gradually dissolves into the deepest, most peaceful darkness you have ever experienced. This is not the absence of light, but the presence of infinite possibility, the darkness that held the universe before the first stars ignited, the darkness that cradles every new beginning. You are entering the endless night, where your genetic story continues its ancient song in frequencies too deep for waking consciousness to hear. As you settle into this profound quiet, you become aware that your journey through the molecular world has been preparing you for this moment to surrender to sleep, to the deeper rhythms that govern life itself. The genetic code that you have explored through spiral staircases and symphonies, through libraries and mirrors, now reveals its most intimate gift, the capacity to let go, to trust in the wisdom that operates beyond conscious control, to rest in the eternal lullaby that has been singing since life began. Your breathing slows and deepens, and with each exhale, you feel yourself sinking further into the endless night. The genetic symphony that plays within your cells shifts to its nocturnal movements, the genes involved in repair and regeneration taking center stage, the DNA maintenance crews beginning their nightly rounds. You are held in the embrace of biological processes, so ancient and reliable that you can completely surrender conscious control, knowing that you will be cared for while you sleep. The darkness around you pulses gently with the rhythm of your genetic code, and you realize that this night is not empty, but full of the accumulated wisdom of every ancestor who has ever slept, ever dreamed, ever trusted in the process of renewal that comes with rest. You are connected through sleep to every living thing that has ever experienced the healing darkness, from the first cells that learn to cycle between activity and rest, to the complex organisms that develop the sophisticated dance of sleep and dreams. As you drift deeper into the endless night, the boundaries of your individual existence begin to soften. You are no longer just yourself, but part of the vast web of life that breathes and rests and renews itself in cycles as old as the earth itself. Your genetic code harmonizes with the codes of countless other organisms, all of them following the same ancient rhythms, all of them participating in the same fundamental processes of maintenance, repair, and preparation for tomorrow's awakening. The darkness reveals its secrets as you float within it. This is not static night, but dynamic rest, not empty sleep, but active restoration. Your DNA repair mechanisms work with increased intensity during sleep, fixing the small damages that accumulate during waking hours. Your immune system strengthens its defenses, your nervous system consolidates memories, your endocrine system rebalances hormones for optimal function. Sleep is not the absence of genetic activity, but its transformation into healing, growth, and preparation. You feel yourself becoming one with the endless night, and in this union, you understand something profound about the nature of existence itself. Life is not a straight line from birth to death, but a spiral, a cycle, an endless dance between activity and rest, between expression and quiet, between the unfolding of genetic potential and the gathering of energy for new possibilities. You are not moving toward an ending, but participating in an eternal rhythm that has no beginning and no end. The genetic lullaby that surrounds you becomes more apparent now, a song composed of the subtle vibrations of molecular interactions, the gentle hum of enzymatic activity, the quiet whisper of genes turning on and off in response to the body's circadian rhythms. This is music older than any human song, more fundamental than any symphony, the underlying bass notes that supports all of life's melodies. You are both hearing this lullaby and singing it, both listening to the genetic song and adding your own voice to its endless harmonies. As you surrender more deeply to the endless night, you begin to understand that sleep is not a withdrawal from life, but a return to its source. In the darkness, you reconnect with the fundamental processes that sustain existence, the molecular dances that continue regardless of consciousness, the genetic wisdom that operates with perfect precision, without any need for your attention or control. You are held in the arms of life itself, rocked to sleep by the same forces that move planets and guide the growth of galaxies. The night deepens around you, and you sense the presence of dreams gathering at the edges of consciousness. These are not just the random firings of neurons, but the genetic code's way of processing experience, of integrating the day's learning into the deeper structures of memory and understanding. Your dreams will be woven from the same four-letter alphabet that writes your physical existence, the same genetic vocabulary that has been telling the story of life for billions of years. You feel your consciousness beginning to fragment and flow, preparing for the unique state of being that is sleep, neither fully present nor completely absent, but something mysteriously in between. This is the state where your genetic code does its deepest work, where the maintenance and repair systems have full access to your cellular machinery, where the processes of growth and healing can proceed without the interference of waking activity. The endless night embraces you completely now, and you understand that this darkness is not empty, but pregnant with possibility. Every night of sleep is a small death and rebirth, a dissolution of the day's identity and a preparation for tomorrow's renewal. Your genetic code ensures that you will wake up as yourself, but also as someone slightly different, shaped by the night's work of repair and restoration, influenced by the dreams that process your experiences into wisdom. You drift further into the depths of sleep, and the genetic lullaby becomes your entire reality. This is the song that has been playing since the first replicating molecules learned to make copies of themselves. The song that guided the evolution of complexity from simple chemistry to conscious beings capable of contemplating their own existence. You are both a note in this eternal song and a consciousness capable of hearing it, both a product of genetic evolution and a being who can wonder at the magnificence of the process that created you. The endless night holds you with infinite gentleness, and you feel the profound peace that comes from complete surrender to processes larger and wiser than individual will. Your genetic code continues its work in the darkness, maintaining the intricate molecular machinery that sustains your existence, preparing the cellular infrastructure for tomorrow's activities, ensuring that when you wake, you will be renewed and ready to continue the magnificent experiment of conscious life. As you sink into the deepest levels of sleep, your last conscious thought is one of gratitude for the genetic inheritance that makes your existence possible, for the molecular processes that sustain you without any effort on your part, for the endless night that offers rest and renewal, for the promise that tomorrow will bring new possibilities for growth, discovery, and connection. The genetic lullaby continues its eternal song as consciousness fades completely, and you become one with the endless night, held in the loving embrace of life itself, trusting completely in the ancient wisdom that will carry you safely through the darkness and back to the light of a new day. In this surrender, you find not an ending, but a beginning, not a conclusion, but a continuation of the magnificent story that is written in the very molecules of your being. The endless night enfolds you, and all is well.